Well, if you would turn in your attention today to the Hebrew Hall of Fame, Hebrews chapter 11, beginning with verse 24 through verse 27, reading from the New Living Translation of the Scriptures. Notice there these words. It was by faith that Moses, when he grew up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to share the oppression of God's people instead of enjoying the fleeting pleasures of sin. He thought it was better to suffer for the sake of Christ than to own the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking ahead to his great reward. It was by faith that Moses left the land of Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He kept right on going because he kept his eyes on the one who is invisible. And I want to talk today simply from the subject, worth the pain. Worth the pain. There are some things that are painful, but is worth the pain. Not all pain is good pain. And sometimes you go through pain and it didn't produce anything. You feel like it was a waste of time. But there are other times that you experience something that is painful, and once you get through on the other side, you realize it was worth the pain. When you go through the pain and discipline of study, and then you finally graduate, you realize it was worth the pain. When a woman goes through the pain of childbirth, and then she finally gives birth and has the joy of a brand new baby, she realizes it was worth the pain. If you go through the pain of putting together a business plan and trying to find a location and try to figure out exactly what you're going to do and try to get some marketing together and some accounting systems together, and once you're able to get a business license and launch into business, and as soon as you turn a profit, you realize that it was worth the pain. Some things are just worth the pain. But let me just encourage you, don't define yourself by how you were raised, but by how you were made. You see, you notice here that it said that Moses refused to be called by Pharaoh's daughter, by that name. He didn't want to be known as the daughter of Pharaoh because that was how he was raised. It wasn't how he was made. He was made for a higher purpose than to be the little rescue project of a princess. And he understood that his purpose and calling was far, far higher than Pharaoh's daughter just finding him in the water in a basket and then raising him. So he refused to have his identity as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He knew that he was a Hebrew, that he was a son of Israel, and that something of deliverance was in his DNA that he was destined to do. And so he made a decision that he would choose to suffer with the children of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. So he chose a painful route, knowing that it was painful, knowing that it was difficult, but that it would be worth the pain. Because Moses was more interested in God's purpose than he was in man's position. Because here's the deal, God's purpose and plan it'll always take you further than man's plaudits and positions. God's purpose. It'll always take you further. God's purpose and God's plan will always take you further than man's plaudits or positions. And so one of the greatest sins of what I would call modern Christianity is the pursuit of the comfortable life. The pursuit of the comfortable life. And that's what most folks are doing. They're just working trying to be comfortable. But once you get comfortable, you stop growing. That's not good. See, our goal shouldn't be to get to a place where you are comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're no longer growing. So Moses kept on going. Notice what the Bible says. It said he kept on going because he kept his eyes on the one who is invisible. Now that sounds like an oxymoron in and of itself. But he kept his eyes on the one who is invisible. How do you keep your eyes on the one who is invisible? I'll tell you, it's because you can see the works of the invisible hand of God moving in your life. And when you see where he has been working, you know where God is. You can understand where God is just by seeing where he's working. And there are times where you see that the hand of God has been guiding your destiny, guiding your footsteps. He's been guiding your next move. He's been guiding your promotion. He was protecting you from harm. He stopped you from getting in the car, or he had you to get out of the car before they got in trouble. God has a way, and you look back and you discover, because life can only be lived forward, but it can only be understood backwards. So when you look back and you can see the hand of the invisible God, and that's how you have your eyes on the one who is invisible. He kept his eyes on the one who is invisible to realize that God had a higher purpose for him than man's plaudits and positions. God has a purpose. And see, here's a problem with comfortable people. Here's a problem. Comfortable people don't grow. Comfortable people don't change, because their goal is just to be comfortable. Comfortable people don't dream nor plan. Comfortable people don't risk. Comfortable people don't explore. They get locked into a position. They don't do any of the fun stuff. There's no growth for them. There's no change for them. They don't dream. They don't plan. They don't risk. They don't explore, because they're just comfortable. You know, whenever you go on vacation, you have to make yourself uncomfortable. You know, it's challenging if you've never been to a certain place, and particularly if you go someplace that you've never been before, to be in an airport and to have to figure out, where to go to baggage claim and how to get transportation and go. You're out of your comfort zone. And particularly if you go to a place that doesn't speak your language. But you have some of your greatest growth opportunities when you're in an unfamiliar atmosphere. It is the best time and place to be able to grow when you don't know anybody there. And that's why God said, listen, Abraham, get up and get away from everything that is familiar to you. And I'm going to take you into a place and plant your feet. And I'm going to establish you. And I'm going to bless you more in the place where I'm taking you than the maximum of everything that you've experienced back in the old country place that you came from. He says, Abraham, I'm getting ready to stretch you on every side. I'm getting ready to expand you, because he was made to be uncomfortable, to get out of his comfort zone, to leave the land of familiarity. And see, most folks who are in love with comfort and security, they don't grow, they don't change, they don't dream, they don't plan, they don't risk, they don't explore, they just stay the same, and they don't want anybody to rock the boat. But don't be afraid to take a risk. Don't be afraid to take a risk. Tell somebody next to you, don't be afraid to take a risk. And realize this, if you take a risk and if you fail, please understand this: failure does not define you, it prepares you. Failure does not define you, it prepares you. Failure does not define you, it prepares you. It prepares you. It prepares you. So don't be afraid to take a risk. And in the midst of all of it, you have to realize that things, when you go through difficult, painful, uncomfortable situations, realize that there's victory on the other side of it. Your victory is always on the other side of inconvenience. It's always on the other side of comfort. What you really want is always on the other side of a fight. It's on the other side of a struggle. And so you're going to have pain one way or another, even if you just sit where you are in a comfortable place. If you sit too long, your leg will go to sleep. Or you're going to deal with pain one way or another. So the deal is that you have to choose your pain. You have to choose your pain, because you're going to have pain one way or another. Choose your pain. Choose your pain. There's a pain in everything in life, but choose your pain. Don't let your pain choose you. You choose your pain. I mean, it's a pain to be smart, but it's a pain to be dumb. It's a pain to be good looking, but it's a pain to be. Choose your pain. Choose your pain. It's a pain to be big, but it's a pain to be little. It's just choose your pain. It's a pain to be disciplined, but it's a pain to lack discipline and structure and order. Choose your pain. Choose your pain. Choose your pain. It's a pain to finish first, and it's a pain to finish Choose your pain. Just choose your pain. You have the luxury of being able to choose your own pain. Choose your pain. And once you choose your pain, you'll realize if you'll hang in there that it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. And I want you to realize this. Some of your pain, if you'll be honest, now we're in church now. You have to be honest. This is the place to be transparent and vulnerable, to be authentic, authentically you. It really is. So, but if you'll be honest with yourself, some of your pain is the result of your own choices. There's no need in your blaming the devil. Somebody said, if I were to kick the person who was responsible for most of my trouble, he said I wouldn't be able to sit down for a week. Now, you might have thought that I came up with that on my own. I didn't come up with that. I read that in the Bible. Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 3, New Living Translation. Look, notice this. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. You know anybody like that? Screenshot that. Get your screenshot of that. You need to know that this is in the Bible. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness, and then they're angry at the Lord. They choose to be with a fool, and then they say, Lord, why you let me get this with this fool? Is that not a man? It's in the Bible. It's in the book. Touch somebody, says in the book. It's in the book. It's in the book. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness, and then they are angry at the Lord. God, why you let me marry him? Lord, why you let me get pregnant? Why you want to put him in charge of your birth control? So you see, many of our own personal choices are responsible for much of our own pain. There are some people that inflict pain on themselves and then they get mad with God. But some of your pain is a result of other people that are connected to your life. That again is your choice. Because you see, you are a reflection of those with whom you spend time. Again, this is not my wisdom. This is the wisdom from the word of the Lord. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20, one of my favorite scriptures. He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. Now notice that. If you walk with somebody who's got wisdom, you'll become wise. But when you're with a fool, now you'll have a good time. You're going to have a good time. And I told you, everybody needs a fool in their life. Now, if you don't have a friend who is the fool, guess who it is? We need them. They make life more tolerable. You need somebody that when you're stressed out that will just make you laugh. They're just crazy. You know, I mean, when you're in a situation where you're in the ghetto and they're in the ghetto, you need a fool in the ghetto with you to just help you through the pain of the ghetto. Because they know how to laugh at your little floppy screen door, because they got a floppy screen door at home and they're dealing with the same issues and drama and drive-bys and all kind of stuff. They're dealing with the same issues. The same issue. They bought the same specials at the store that you bought. So they understand, but you need people that when you're in difficult situations that know how to make you laugh. Laughter is a gift. It is a gift, and you need to have a fool in your life, but they need to have proximity at a certain level. They shouldn't be in your inner circle. But you got to have that person that when you want to have a good time, you know who they are. They have an ability to lift your spirit and make you laugh. And laughter is an instant vacation. It'll just get you there just like that. Everybody. There's some times where you just want to celebrate and you don't want to call that serious-minded person that's always challenging you about improving your life and get it. Sometimes you just need a fool to just say, girl, you remember that time that we were. but you are a reflection of those with whom you associate. You're a reflection of that. Because your closest friends shape your values, your direction, and your life. Those that are closest to you, they shape your values. They shape the direction of your life. They shape your life ultimately. Those people that are close to you. That's why it's so important to try to get your children in the right atmosphere. Get them in the right atmosphere around people that are positive, people that believe in God, people that are working on something that is lofty and legal. In other words, whom you walk with determine your experience. Whoever you walk with determine your experience. Just think about that. Life is a journey, and whoever you take the journey with will determine what you will experience on that journey. I'm amazed that sometimes people who are on the same journey with me, and they end up having a miserable time, and I had the time of my life. It's not about where you go, it's about who you're with. It's about who you are with. And that's why you want the right folks with you on your journey, because they will determine the quality of the experience that you have. They really do. So choose your pain. There's a pain of discipline, and then there's the pain of regret. Choose your pain. The pain of discipline, the pain of regret. See, the person that was able to forego the party and went and studied, they graduate on time. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And see, when you see somebody that started school with you and then they finished before you did, and then you start regretting that you went to those parties, because you regret then because you realize it wasn't worth it, and now I got to go back 2 more semesters and they gone, and they're not paying any more tuition. I was determined when I went to college that they weren't going to get a dime more than the 8 semesters. I wasn't going to pay another dime. I mean, time is money, especially when you're talking about going to a private college. Time is money. Time is money. And if you don't spend it right, you're going to deal with the pain of regret. And if you do spend it right, you're going to deal with the pain of discipline. Choose your pain. Choose your pain. You're either going to have the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. You get to choose your pain. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11. Notice, no discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. I mean, I'm a disciplined person. It doesn't feel good. I mean, I'm not sadomasochistic. It does not feel good. I don't take pleasure in pain. I don't know about you, but I don't personally take pleasure in pain. No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. It's painful. But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. I want you to notice that. No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful. But afterwards, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. Aren't you glad that there's an afterward? That there will be a peaceful harvest? You see, Moses chose his pain, and you need to choose yours. Because your choices determine your conduct, your character, and your destiny. Your choices determine your conduct, your character, and your destiny. Your choices, and your choices, remember, also include those whom you choose to associate, to allow in your inner circle in your life. It includes that. You can go through extreme painful measures to protect your children. And your children in one relationship can choose to be with a fool and unravel years of discipline, training, values that you placed in them because they got derailed and sidetracked by somebody who was going in an opposite direction. and you had them on a road going toward destiny, and they start hitchhiking with somebody headed in the opposite direction. You can't blame God. We've already seen it from the scriptures. The Proverbs gives us such a wonderful, wonderful idea concerning it. You know, the Apostle Paul was dealing with the early church going through debates because of this whole idea of grace and legalism. It's not a new issue. The Apostle Paul dealt with it because, you know, they wanted to take everybody back to this Jewish tradition of saying, you know, that you can't be saved unless you're circumcised. But what happened is that Gentiles, non-Jewish people, start getting saved because the gospel began to be preached to them, and they started accepting Christ, and so this great debate broke out. I mean, do you have to be circumcised in order to be saved? And so the legalist was saying, no, if you're going to know Jesus and be saved, now you're going to have to be circumcised. But they had uncircumcised folks getting saved, and they're asking Paul, what do you say concerning this? And Paul let them know that the most important thing is being a new creation in Jesus Christ. He says, where you have been crucified to the world and the world has been crucified to you. And here's what Paul got sick and tired of these religious hypocrites, the legalistic folks, the Pharisees of the day that were saying, oh, no. They must observe our rules and rituals. If we have not circumcised them, a mark in their flesh. No, Paul let them know it's a circumcision of the heart. This is not about what you can do on the outside. He says this is an inward work. This is an inward work of the heart. Man looks on the outside, but God looks on the heart. And so, and Paul said, listen, you're talking about circumcision? Paul says, I tell you what circumcision of the flesh is. Paul says, I've been dealing with pain. Look, he said in Galatians chapter 6, verse 17, he says, from now on, let no one cause me trouble. He said, don't bother with me this mess anymore. This is the Browner version. Don't bring this mess up to me again. He said, from now on, let no one cause me trouble, for I bear on my body the marks of Jesus. I bear on my body the marks of Jesus. I'm crucified with him daily. I've been beaten. I've been whipped. I've been abused. I've been buked. I've been scorned. I've gone through hell and high water. And you want to tell me something about circumcision of the flesh? I'll tell you what it's about. He says, I bear this on my body because I've had a circumcision in my heart. It's on the inside. It's on the inside. Paul had to clear up some stuff. He says, I've had the pain. I've dealt with pain inflicted on my body. And Paul said, I glory in tribulation, in the beatings and all of the stuff that I've been through. He says, because it's worth the pain. It's worth the pain. It's worth the pain. And here's the thing that I realize about it is that the pain that you endure today gives you the ability to enjoy a new strength tomorrow. Think about it when you're working out in the gym. The pain that you enjoy today, you enjoy the strength of it tomorrow. The pain that you endure today, it produces a strength that you're able to enjoy tomorrow. And that's why, you don't really feel good if you have lifted weights and if you don't feel sore afterwards. You want to be able to feel a burn. If you can't feel anything, you feel like you haven't done anything. And when you get routine to where your body has gotten adjusted to it, that's why you have to switch it up so you can feel it again. And when you can feel it, when you can feel the burn, when you can feel sore after you've had a really good hard workout, it's the pain that you endure today that produces a new strength that you enjoy tomorrow. And so just realize that it's worth the pain. It's worth the pain. And one of the things that you'll realize with understanding that it's worth the pain is that when you come through certain difficult situations and painful situations in life, you'll be able to look back and understand why you had to go through what you went through. That's why Maya Angelou could say, I wouldn't take nothing from a journey. It made me who I am. It taught me to pray. It drove me to my knees. It taught me humility. It produced a love and a compassion for other people. I wouldn't take nothing from a journey because if you didn't have a struggle, you wouldn't give a hoot about people. It's amazing. I mean, Joseph didn't appreciate all of the stuff that he went through, the negativity, the hatred from his own brothers. He didn't appreciate that while he was young, but yet he understood it later in life. I mean, just notice his journey in Genesis chapter 50. Notice this, verse 15. But now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers became fearful. Now Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong that we did to him, they said. And so they sent this message to Joseph. Before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, please forgive your brothers for the great wrong that they did to you, for their sin in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of God, of your father, beg you to forgive our sin. And when Joseph received the message, he broke down and wept. And then his brothers came and threw themselves down before Joseph. Look, we're your slaves, they said. And Joseph said, don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. Now don't be afraid that I will continue to take care of you and your children, because I'm not you and I'm not going to treat you the way you treated me. So he reassured them by speaking kindly to them. But he said, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. So he saw that it was painful. It was painful, he says, for you all to take me out there and have me thinking that you were going to kill me, and then throwing me in a pit, and then selling me into slavery. Painful. It was painful for somebody to lie on me and have me falsely accused and thrown in jail, and for me to have to sit in jail not ever knowing whether I was going to get out. Painful. But he realized after he was second command in Egypt, it was worth the pain.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.